Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Greg Sports. This is the CFL DFS video for week number 1. In this video I will be walking through my CFL DFS sheet for week number 1, talking about all the players that I do find relevant for this week, whether or not I would consider them a GPP option, a cash game option, or a GPP paydown option. I will also be highlighting whether or not I will be overweight, underweight, or in line with the field, or kind of slightly overweight, slightly underweight. And then as the week moves along, I'll be posting all the depth charts down in the comment section down below, as well as any other relevant super major news. Otherwise, this sheet will be constantly updated over on my Patreon page. Very small monthly donation over there. You will get access to my CFL DFS sheets every single week. And then you do get some access to some MLB DFS notes if that's something you're into as well. But without further ado, we're going to start off with the Ottawa Redblacks. We have Drew Brown at quarterback. He is $7,400, which is actually one of the cheaper price tags for starting quarterbacks this week. I do like him as a GPP option. You could maybe even call him a GPP paydown option just because he is so cheap at this point in time. I will be overweight to the field on him. Definitely do like him, especially at that price tag. Then at running back, we have Daniel Alouettes, probably mispronouncing his name, but he's $2,500, so he could be considered a paydown option. He's technically listed as the starter, but it might be one of those pseudo starters where they just need enough Canadian names in that starting lineup with the requirements. So we'll see how much run he gets in week 1. If you want to roll him out, there's a paydown option. Definitely can do that. Otherwise, they do have William Stanback is probably the primary guy at $7,500. GPP option will be underweight to the field on him. Initially, I had it slightly underweight, but with him technically listed as the back out, I did bump that down to underweight. And there are some other good running backs in terms of their respective price tags this week overall. And then we're going to move down to the wide receiver position. If you want to play Devonta Dedmon at wide receiver, $2,500. He is a kick returner. For CFL DFS, you do get points based on return yards for kick and punt return. It's like 1 point every 20 yards. So returners are a little bit more alive, but he's really just the third string running back. Might see some snaps at wide receiver, but primarily the returner. If you want to take a chance on him as a paydown option, you can definitely do that. Then next up, we have Braylon Addison. He is a very solid wide receiver. He's only $2,500. So do like him as a paydown option this week. I do have him as in line with the field, maybe slightly overweight to the field. They do have some other talented wide receiver options on this team as well. Then we move down to Justin Hardy, GPP option at $7,000. I do have him technically listed as slightly overweight because he is a very talented wide receiver. He's been doing really well for this team over the last couple of years, so definitely do like him as kind of an upside play, especially if you're stacking him alongside Drew Brown. Eugene Lewis is kind of the new guy to the team, $9,900. He is a GPP option as well, but will be underweight to the field on him just due to that price tag. And then Khalil Pimbleton, who did very well as a rookie last season, $5,500. GPP option. Will be in line with the field on him, maybe slightly overweight to the field. Definitely do like him a little bit more if you are playing Drew Brown at that quarterback position. And then I'll also say on this week's sheet, I did include a lot of the practice squad guys just because I was tracking their rosters, who got cut, who went to the practice squad and everything else like that. Probably in the future weeks, I will not be listing those guys unless they are moved up to the active roster. Nick Martner is on the 6-game injury list. He will not play this week due to a knee injury. And then we move down to that Redblacks defense. They're $3,700, and I do have them listed as a GPP paydown option, slightly overweight to the field on them as they are going against the Rough Riders this week. The Rough Riders are pretty banged up on this offensive line, so there could be some opportunities for some sacks and turnovers for this Redblacks defense just in general. Then we move down to the Rough Riders. We got Trevor Harris at quarterback. He's $10,000. I like Trevor Harris quite a bit, but that $10,000 price tag compared to a lot of the other quarterbacks this week is going to leave me slightly underweight to the field on Trevor Harris. I do have him as a GPP option. Definitely do understand if you want to get to him. Jack Cohen will be the 4th quarterback, so he'll be on the 1-game injured list. And then we move down to that running back position with AJ Alouette, $6,000. I do have him listed as a potential cash play, slightly overweight to the field on him. A really good price tag for him in week 1, but there are some really good running back options just in general. And then we move down to the wide receiver position. If you want to play Mario Alford as a kick returner, you can definitely do that. Very, very talented kick returner in his time in the CFL, but not going to see too many snaps on offense. And then in terms of their wide receivers that I'm looking at the most, Samuel Emilus at $8,400, GPP option, but will be underweight to the field on him. I'll mention Keyshawn Johnson, but he's all the way up at $9,500, so definitely underweight to the field on him once again as well. Probably not getting to him at all in week number 1. Dante Myers, I think, is very interesting at $2,500. Paydown option there. We did see some upside with him at times last year, slightly overweight to the field on him. And then we move down to Keon Schaefer-Baker, $5,200, GPP option, probably in line with the field on him overall. And then we do have 2 wide receivers in Tommy Neal and Sean Bain Jr., both out due to injury this week. Tommy Neal due to an ankle injury, and then Sean Bain Jr., that knee injury that he had surgery on that he is working his way back from. Then we move down to that Rough Riders defense, kind of a GPP option, $4,100, probably in line with the field on them overall. But they're probably like my 4th or 5th defense this week overall that I would be getting to. Then we move down to the Toronto Argonauts. Chad Kelly is out this week due to a leg injury. Is probably going to be Nick Arbuckle at quarterback, but $10,100 is not a price tag I want to pay for Nick Arbuckle, so we'll be underweight to the field on him just in general. In terms of that running back position, they did cut both Kadeem Carey and Kevin Brown, which was a major surprise. We did see Mitchell and Williams play really well in that preseason, but the two guys that are listed as active are going to be Deontay McMahon and Mayan Williams. Both guys are kind of GPP paydown options, probably overweight to slightly overweight on both those guys this week overall. If you really want to roll one of them out in cash, you could definitely do that at the same time as well. And then we move down to the wide receiver room. Pretty similar to last year. It's a pretty loaded wide receiver room. Would expect them to kind of spread the ball out once again. DeMonte Coxie, $9,700. GPP option there, but will be underweight to the field on him as that is a very, very high price tag overall. Most of the time during the season, he's going to be that $6,000 to $7,000 price range. And then we have DeVaris Daniels behind him, $6,500. He's probably more appropriately priced for week number 1. He is a GPP option in line with the field on him. Then we move down to Hergy Mael, who is $3,600. Kind of a paydown option, probably slightly overweight to the field on him if you want to take a chance. If you want to play any of these other Toronto wide receivers, you can definitely do that at the same time as well. David Unger, the third, I do have listed as underweight to the field on him, $4,900. If Chad Kelly was playing, I'd probably be a little bit more interested in him. But with Nick Arbuckle at quarterback, probably not quite so interested. Then we move down to the Toronto Argonauts defense, $3,900, going against the Montreal Alouettes. Have them as a GPP option, probably in line with the field on them overall this week. Then we move down to that Alouettes team. I'm not exactly 100% sure who starts at quarterback. We'll get that depth chart out. We'll get that news, and this sheet will be updated just in general. But McLeod Bethel-Thompson, Davis Alexander. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, $8,600. Davis Alexander, $9,400. Both are viable GPP options if they end up starting this week, but would be slightly underweight to the field on both them, just in case, like one of them starts and then they start struggling and then the other one comes in. Just want to be more safe than sorry in week number 1. In terms of the running back room, was pretty interesting as they did cut Walter Fletcher, their leading running back from last year. Was a big surprise for me, actually. Stevie Scott is out week number 1 due to knee injuries. So the remaining 2 running backs are going to be Sean Thomas Erlington and Travis Tice. Thomas Erlington is $4,300. Tice is $2,900. Both kind of pay down options, probably in line with the field on them. We did see the Alouettes throw the ball quite a bit last year, so I wouldn't be surprised if either one doesn't get a lot of carries, but they still could be very viable for DFS in week number 1. Moving down to that wide receiver room, mainly just getting to 2 guys. This week it's going to be Austin Mack, $4,700, GPP option. Probably going to be overweight to the field on him. And then Tyson Philpott, $7,400, cash game option. I do definitely like him once again. He was really good prior to injury last year, so we'll be overweight to the field on him once again. And if you want to take some shots on some of the other wide receivers, Charleston Rambo, Tyler Snead, Cole Speaker, definitely would understand it, but they're kind of GPP options, but going to be underweight to all 3 of those this week. Probably not getting to them overall myself personally. Then moving down to that Montreal Alouettes defense, $4,300 GPP option. I am slightly underweight to the field on them. I think they will be a little bit popular with Chad Kelly not playing at quarterback, but definitely do understand if you want to be in line with the field on them just in general. Then we move down to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. We got Bo Levi Mitchell at quarterback, $8,500. GPP option, slightly overweight to the field on him. I do definitely like his price tag and the potential upside in this matchup overall. At running back, we got Greg Bell, $7,300. GPP option did perform pretty well for them last week. Slightly overweight to the field on him. It might ultimately end up being closer to in line with the field just based on some of that other value at running back this week overall. Then moving down to the wide receivers, I got 4 guys listed as GPP options. Will be in line with the field on all of them. Shamar Bridges, who looked really good for them last year. Kenny Lawler, who comes over from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Keandre Smith, who was really good last year for them as well, $7,200. And then Tim White, the solid, steady veteran for them, $6,600. If I had to make a major stand on one of them, probably going to be Shamar Bridges or Tim White for week number 1. And then I will mention that Drew Walter-Ziski, another wide receiver coming over for them, $2,700 would be a pretty decent price tag for him. Not sure exactly what his role is going to be on this team, but he was limited in practice on Tuesday. It did not ultimately end up practicing on Wednesday due to an ankle injury. Then we move down to the Tiger Cats defense, $3,900 going against the Calgary Stampeders. GPP option, probably in line with the field on them, slightly underweight to the field. Not a team that I'm getting to too strongly, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of ownership ultimately going to them just in general. Moving down to that Calgary Stampeders team, we got Vernon Adams Jr. moving over to be their quarterback. $9,600 GPP option. Will be slightly overweight to the field on him. I definitely do like his price tag a lot better than guys like Trevor Harris and Nick Arbuckle. So definitely do like that upside at $9,600 just in general. Dedrick Mills at running back, $7,000 GPP option if you want to get there, in line with the field on him once again this week. And then we move down to their wide receiver room. So I am going to talk about this wide receiver room just a little bit. Clark Barnes is all the way up at $9,300. I have literally no idea why, but underweight to the field on him. I will not be playing him in week number 1. Reggie Bevelton, $8,200 GPP option, in line with the field on him. Maybe even a decent buy low spot on him just because he wasn't quite as good last year, but the quarterback play was really, really bad last year overall. You know, if you want to get to Tevin Jones or Jalen Philpott, you can definitely do it as well. I'm just not personally getting there myself in week 1. Dominique Rhymes as a GPP option, GPP paydown option at $4,300. Slightly overweight to the field on him. I definitely do like his upside at that price tag. Maybe even a cash game option if you really, really want to get there. And then Malik Henry is unlikely to play week 1. He's on that 6-game injury list. Did not practice on Tuesday or Wednesday due to that knee injury that he is coming back from. And then we move down to that Stampeders defense. They are $3,800 GPP option, GPP paydown option. Will be slightly overweight to the field on them. I think there is some decent upside to be had there at that. Then we move down to the final game of the week. We're going to start off with the Elks. I assume that Cody Fajardo is the starting quarterback week number 1 at $8,800. You know, if we get news otherwise that like Trey Ford starting, then we can adjust accordingly. But if it is Cody Fajardo, I do have him as a GPP option, slightly underweight to the field on him in week number 1, just based on some of that other value that we do have at the quarterback position, plus the potential that, you know, maybe gets sat down for Trey Ford at some point in the game. And then in the running back position, we got Justin Rankin as the higher priced player at $8,500 GPP option if you want to get there, but will be underweight to the field on him. There is too good a value at running back elsewhere this week. And then, you know, if you want to get to Javon Leake at $3,400, definitely do understand it. He has a GPP paydown option, slightly overweight to the field on him this week. Could potentially see some return work as well as a good workload on offense at the same time as well. Then we move down to the wide receiver position. We start off with Stephen Dunbar Jr., $2,500. The minimum price. He is one of the easiest cash game plays of the week, so I definitely will be overweight to the field on him. Curly Gittens Jr., $7,900 GPP option if you want to get there, in line with the field on him. And then Keon Julian Grant coming over at $2,500. He is a very strong GPP paydown option as well. Will be slightly overweight to the field on him. You know, if you want to play one of these other wide receivers, you can definitely do that. I'm not personally getting there myself. It was very surprising to see that they cut Alexander Hollins in that final round of cuts prior to the season. So it is kind of anyone's game at this point in time, but Stephen Dunbar Jr. just looks like too good of a value to pass up in week number 1. Then we move down to the Elks defense. They're $3,200. Will be underweight to the field on them as they go against the BC Lions, and really just not getting to them this week overall. Then we move down to the Lions team. Nathan Rourke at quarterback, $9,700. GPP option, probably going to be in line with the field on him this week. Although, you know, he's probably like my 4th quarterback that I would be playing just in general for week number 1. And then we have James Butler, running back. He is a GPP option, really strong upside with him. Not too much else there in that running back room to compete with him. So we'll be overweight to the field on him this week. And I think he's actually going to be a very good leverage play for week number 1. And then we move down to their wide receiver room. Not really too interested in much here, honestly. We got Stanley Berryhill at $6,100. I think that's way too high of a price tag for him, so we'll be underweight to the field on him. Javon Catoy at $6,800. A little bit overpriced, but we'll be underweight to him as well. Aiden Eberhardt is $9,100. I literally cannot tell you why, so we'll definitely be underweight to him. Not playing any shares of him in week 1. Keon Hatcher, though, $4,000. I do like him as a cash game play. We'll be overweight to the field on him. So I think wide receiver this week is going to be pretty easy in terms of cash game plays. You know, we got Stephen Dunbar Jr., we got Keon Hatcher, and we got Tyson Philpott, kind of rounding out a good core of wide receivers for week 1. And then we finish up with that Lions defense, $4,500, potential cash game option. Will be slightly overweight to the field on them. It'll be very interesting to see how this Elks offense operates in week number 1 of the 2025 season. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on my CFL DFS sheet for week number 1. As always, if you have any questions related to CFL DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section of this video. And then once again, I will be posting all the depth charts down in the comment section as well as the week gets moving along. If there's any other major updates, I'll leave them there. Otherwise, this sheet will be updated throughout the week over on my Patreon page. Once again, very small monthly donation over there. You get access to my CFL DFS sheet every single week, as well as some MLB DFS notes if that's something you're into as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Greg Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have MLB DFS in terms of the core picks Monday through Friday. Might skip Thursday for this week. We'll have to see at this point in time, just depending on how long it takes to edit this video. So if I do, definitely do apologize for that. We'll have my CFL DFS video coming out once a week, typically on Wednesday, so definitely on the lookout for that in future weeks as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user to any one of those three sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's a 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and would be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for this week's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in CFL DFS for week number 1.